The last draft of the day. Champion Select is up, and it's Loud versus INTZ.
I'm going to go quickly here, Trajan, because I want to piggyback off what you said. Unequivocally, Seos is number one. At MSI, he was also, I'd say, second best performer on this Loud team. Root was standing out in AD carry. Seos was right up there with him. Tom Kench played disengaged that he was playing as well. Genuinely top-notch stuff, and has stood out by far and away the best support that we have in the CBLOL at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Anyone that we can send over to International that really can kind of stand tall with the greats on the international stage, that's what we want to see, and Seos is that guy as we head into the draft here. INTZ banning two very strong scaling AD carries in the Aphelios and the Zaya, and the Nico removed from Tinones, whereas Loud, it's two junglers in Sejuani and Vi, and Tristana, which we have seen B1 so far today, though it didn't have a huge amount of success. Milio left open, and Milio will be picked first.
So expecting a hyper carry to get paired up with down on this bot side, or the fabled Lucian that we could end up seeing as a very powerful pairing in that 2 versus 2. We've seen a rise of this Varus today. It hasn't particularly impressed me. I would like to see it at least deferred a little bit here. There are a lot of other power picks that you can go for INTZ. We've got Wukong, power pick junglers like Maokai as well, which is a great deny from Croc if we see Yampi head that direction. And I think that's a lot more valuable in this early phase than taking an AD carry.
Yeah, we did see the Poppy jungle come back last game for the Samus, and Yampi and Croc were kind of the original Poppy aficionados in this region. We're now seeing this champion start to head back into the meta a little bit more, as the rail currently being hovered near, going back onto that engage. I wasn't super excited about Nia's rail in the last game. It was one of their 2 losses, but again, this is to one of the 2 top teams in the region, and Nia overall has certainly been performing much higher than previously, and also much higher than we expected.
Very happy with the improvements from the INTZ support. Expected round out here of the bot lane for Loud, and then maybe just try and match mid lane as well. Tinone's been very happy to play things like the Annie, like the Cassiopeia, unless of course they want to take that fabled Croc Maokai pick. Actually having a couple of issues with the overlay of Champ Select. Normally when we get these, we just get 2 picks back to back on one another, so they allow the draft likely still going right on through. And I'd like to see them take this Maokai here. I think Croc it's his best champion, and it's not even close.
Yeah, and I mean, it does mitigate the potential engage threat of a Rel, of an Ahri trying to come at you fast through the river. There is the Poppy, in fact, for Croc. So it is still kind of disengaged. They can use the Steadfast Presence to block the Crash Down, to block the Spirit Rush. Similar idea. The Maokai still open, though, potentially for Yampi if he wants to opt into it, as the Root Lucian Milio combo was picked up. Seems like the only team that is just doing this Lucian Milio. They've done it several times, but Loud feel really confident in this pairing.
Yeah, we've seen Milio banned a couple of times today, which does deny the pairing. I think that Red are another team that are quite happy to play this. I've also seen Titan just very happy to pull out a Lucian game on a whim. But it's a very powerful 2 versus 2, no doubt about it, and it does give a certain amount of priority over to Root and Seos. Now, this Kai'Sa Rel locked in is an attempt to throw down 2 versus 2. Might be a little bit difficult, but I'm certainly interested by the volatility that this bot lane provides. One incorrect dash from Root, and that lane can be over very quickly. Heading forward, though, through the draft, we're missing out on expectedly top laners for both of these teams, and then a mid laner for Loud and a jungler on INTZ's side. Nice to see that there's so far a decent amount of dive for INTZ as well. I expect them to try and keep that train rolling with the Ahri Rel Kai'Sa picked.
Tenone's likely going to be happy to have earned himself a Swain ban after just the 1 game so far. The Cassio as well removed. As I said before, Nosferos and Tenone's both players of this champion so far in the early stages. And Loud take away the Olaf, something both ZZK and Robo have been known to go back to, and the ever-present Wukong removed that excellent tier 1 jungler taken off the table. So for Tinones, without the Ahri, there is still an Annie that could be taken and could just be a standard thing to slot in here, of course, with the Rel engage possibility.
He has to pick something that's very safe here. There's a very high likelihood of a buy coming through. Okay. Bite my tongue a little bit there. It's actually the Maokai that gets locked in for Yampi. Still aggressive to find decent 2v2 skirmishes, but not nearly as powerful as the Vi in that 2 versus 2 specifically. Now, of course, we get to see what Loud want to pair with this, or rather go against this even. 2 versus 2 in their mid jungle, still to be decided.
Yeah, we do have Tinones picking some slightly off-kilter things. We've had an Aurelion Soul game from him. We have had a Jace game that I was not a huge fan of, so Tinones does have plenty of depth in that pool, as I mentioned earlier, as the Renekton looks like it's been locked in for Robo here, and now this gets me pretty excited, Rude Dude. I'd mentioned earlier in the day on one of our previous games, the Renekton was coming back, and that gets me excited because of the plays that Robo has made in the past. The memory of his Renekton is why CBLOL Renekton makes me feel good.
And it's why Robo, as a player, excites me. His performances on Renekton are generally top tier. And while LeBlanc gets locked in for Tinones, high likelihood we see the Static Shiv come back through once again. A decent enough answer to the Ahri, but it is that skill matchup. If the Ahri lands the Charm on the Distortion, it becomes quite difficult. A skill matchup checked in the top lane for ZZK, a top laner who we've had, honestly, some criticisms about in Split 1, but in Split number 2 has opted into these carries almost exclusively. 6 out of his 7 games through the regular split so far have been on carry champions. The Jax, another one in the pool. This matchup in the top lane, very volatile. All around who can use their stun better. If ZZK is able to counter-strike the stun from Renekton, and it goes Jax's way. If, of course, the Jax gets that big stun landed onto him by Robo, it goes the other way.
I am incredibly excited, Rudy, for this top lane matchup. This is the team for Loud, the position in top lane. Robo, we said he was lagging behind. We need to see him step up and be the last piece to complete the final resurgence of this championship roster for Loud. On the other side, ZZK has been a massive, good surprise for us, stomping in the lanes, having decent late game teamfight impact at times as well. He's been a real glow up, real surprise for us there. And both on champions that can absolutely smash this lane. A volatile matchup, as you put it. This could go either way, and whoever wins, it is going to be very important data as we head into the second round robin before too long.
Dia, what are your thoughts?
I was going to say, to me, I'm just going to add on to this top lane matchup because there's a lot of pressure on Robo, not on the Renekton. It's not just like your job is to, oh yeah, win lane. Looking at the composition of Loud, there are not a lot of ways that they can solidly engage into INTZ. So it's not just going to come down to in-lane execution. Robo's got to be finding really killer flanks and approaches to be able to support the team later in the game. And as you said, I mean, there have been a couple doubts cast around Robo. Is Zeus's timeline correct? Are Loud back in form? This is the game to find out, Rudude.
I want to go back off of something that you said there, dear. Round 8's last game underway, Loud versus INTZ. You said they don't have any good ways to engage. And what that means for me is we are going to see maybe our first full 1-3-1 split push-esque composition executed of the day. Loud, they've tried this a couple times in the past. It doesn't tend to look the best, but I think that the composition they've built for themselves, LeBlanc in a side lane, Renekton in a side lane, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, they definitely tend to be more the teamfight team, right? We mentioned we were praising Pain earlier today, but Loud have always been a benchmark for team fighting. They'll rock up to a 5v5 objective and just win those because they're just too good. And I would love to see a 1-3-1 executed properly. We saw Fluxu almost get there yesterday with the LeBlanc.
Almost.
But they didn't quite make it work. They kind of lost control of it in the latter stages, and let's see if Loud can do any better as Nosferus under a bit of pressure at that level 1. Of course, the LeBlanc is not... It has a win now. It's not a 0% champion. House has broken that curse. So now Tinones can keep that momentum rolling, yeah, and give us the 1-3-1 that it's meant to be good for.
Let's hope so. And I love this early warding done from Tinones and the rest of Loud alike. Ooh, he started for Robo, interesting. Gets away from that stun though, and it's a nice little 1v1 matchup interaction that you can keep your eyes on. They've actually put all of these wards down on this bot side to know exactly when Yampi is going to be in that bot side jungle. As mentioned, this bot side 2v2 also very volatile. Zeus and Rout have a lot of early damage to put down, specifically at that level 2 marker. They're all in. Weirdly for an enchanter, strangely good, but obviously the Rel, the Kai'Sa, they've got their own plethora of damage as well.
Certainly do. These top laners are looking to get scrappy in this matchup. We have seen Robo get solo killed, dish out solo kills of his own several times in this split. He's been the victim of first blood more than once as well. And now ZZK, I would love to get that advantage on that top side as well, if they can just give that extra threat on the map. The Jax, always a threat later on as Root gets aggressive with the level 2 Ninja Kiwi. Big damage Enough with the extra damage offered by Milio. Ninja Kiwi, a world of hurt right now at level 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't use any of your spells back, it's going to look bad, but they know, they have the information that Yampi is on the bot side of that. They also know that he skipped Wolves and that he skipped Blue from that early warding. There's a very few amount of places that Yampi could be, and they're going to need to be very cognizant of that. Croc already back down on this bot side, did his first 3 bot side camps, and now on for an invade. You know that this Blue's up, and they're going to have to try and find out where Yampi is, because there's, you know, process of deduction, it's bot lane.
We're looking for bot lane. Seos completely separated out from Root as well. The campfire burning away. And Seos will flash to safety. Now Croc heads back out of the jungle, peeled off that blue buff, just to make sure nothing else untoward goes down here. It looks like everyone's fairly healthy. There'll be no deaths for now.
Yeah, a little confused here, Loud, unfortunately. They should have known that Yampi was there.
Croc wants a little bit more. He gets stunned up. Yampi thinking about it, but won't commit. The sapling chasing them away. And again, just lower the health bars go, but no advantage found. Now, does Croc want to actually continue this aggression? Because Yampi's pretty healthy now.
And you can see both bot lanes are looking to move. Your important factor then is that mid lane. You can see Tinones just barely has a little bit of priority down on that bot side, cheating toward this bot side of the river so that he can make his way over first if necessary. Does look like Croc is going to pick up this buff uncontested. Remember, smite available for both of our junglers, so if Yampi fancies it, he may go in a little bit cheekily. Croc secures it though, and it's going to be a fast out now for Loud.
It's onto the scuttle as well, keeps that control rolling the bot side. Definitively under Loud's control at this early stage. That is what Loud want, right? The mid and bot lane, they have been the overperformers. They have been the solid foundation of this team, covering for deficits on the top side. Tinones carrying on the Ahri, Root dishing out the damage on Aphelios. These have been reliable for Loud when nothing else was. And they want to get them ahead once again as Croc looking for a little bit of a bot lane tower dive here. Ninja Kiwi not super healthy. Does have the summoners though. Croc drops a steadfast presence, stuns up for Nia. In goes Root, looks for the damage. The summoners dropped by Nia. In goes Croc once again. Does he have just enough with the ignite? As Nia blasts away, Ninja Kiwi fires back and punishes the aggression.
I was going to say that this is good if they just deny the Wei from Ninja Kiwi, but the fact that he gets first blood 400 gold going back in his pocket is decidedly awful for Loud. And this wave is going to be accepted as well. Ninja Kiwi gets to walk back in. Yampi just shadowing on this bot side. Didn't even have to be there for the counter gank. Really well executed 1 versus 2 from Ninja Kiwi. 3 versus 2, I suppose, in the long run by the INTZ bot lane. But despite the run of play and first blood going to Ninja Kiwi, that offsets the entire gold deficit that CS lead is giving to Root.
The INTZ bot laner arguing for his place among that top 7 of AD carries as we hit the replay again. They really wanted to force the issue here, and Croc leading the charge as ever, even through the summoners. I thought they'd be able to get it done.
Yeah, and I think he just goes a bit too far forward. Just denying this wave is honestly fine. As soon as Croc dashes in here, he's now isolated himself from the rest of the team. And he could have just walked down here. Not sure why taking this path is on his mind at all. Exceptionally greedy, Ninja Kiwi with the flash punishes.
Great awareness by Ninja Kiwi to see the angle, see the opportunity. Essential for a Kai'Sa player as Robo has to drop the Dominus in response to an aggression. Counter ult by ZZK, battering away with that staff. Jumps in once again. The empowered strike doesn't quite get it done, and Croc is ready to defend him from Nosferus and Yampi rotating over. But ZZK definitely takes the advantage in this 1v1 for now.
Love to see the counter pick on the top side paying dividends. A lot of movement up to this top side from INTZ. They were looking to try and take down Robo, and you can see Nia flexing a little bit into this mid lane. And once again, alone time on the bot side for Ninja Kiwi, expecting to be forced off a little bit of CS, off of a little bit of farm as well. For the time being, Tino's actually getting a very decent trade in this mid lane. Remember, it's Noon Quiver on the LeBlanc, so those damages aren't going to be coming a lot from the abilities, but if you're able to weave in auto attacks while you land a double root, that certainly looks good as well.
I am a little wary of Loud's late game, honestly, looking at their composition. The static shift LeBlanc particularly, that just doesn't have as much AP later on. The Renekton that we have already, clocked. The fact that the late game just impact isn't massive. Lucian as well, a traditionally early and mid game tier champion. If this game goes long, if INTZ are able to stall it out, currently they are doing a fine job in the early game. They're going to have the Kai'Sa. They're going to have the Jax. They're going to have what I would argue are the stronger threats later on.
And honestly, contradicting what I said earlier, a decent enough side lane of ZZK as well. That split
yeah.
pushing, potentially the answer of a 1-3-1. definitely looks good. I'm loving the INTZ so far slow play, and one of the criticisms that we had of them through at least just the early weeks was that they were maybe a bit too aggressive through the early stages, and when they got to the late game we were lost for what they were going to be doing. But if they're happy to play these standard games, and their matchup versus Furia was maybe the best example of this, where they would play a slow, stable mid-game, get to a point where their team fighting composition could team fight as well, it became a conversation of, wow, the INTZ are actually no longer cheesing wins, they're just playing good League of Legends.
Certainly are. They're just good. It's just another good team that we've got, and we love to have more good teams here on the CBLOL, as we saw a plate picked up by ZZK there, extending that gold lead even further. And I'm wondering what Loud's solution to this is going to be, because, you know, Renekton late game doesn't do a whole awful lot, but Renekton, when behind, doesn't really do anything at any stage, it feels like. You dive in, just deal some damage, heal a little bit, and die anyway.
We're waiting for resets to come through for our top laners. I think that the first item breakpoint for Robo is going to be a massive one. If you can use that Gore Drink super effectively, maybe he can start to snowball and put a bit of daylight between himself and ZZK. Unfortunately, it's not really been the case, and even with a cool start, like again, very greedy opening for ZZK, he's able to go back to base and pick that one up, I think, on his first reset. He's been constantly finding an advantage up in farm, up in those trades. I think that with the Jacks in a really good spot in this game, it does make the match difficult if it gets to that late stage.
Ooh, Root dashes in, flashes out, and drops the culling onto Nia. Shreds down that rail, lives Ninja Kiwi in the 1v2. He's got level 6 for a shield, but the summoners will just sway the balance. Another beautiful shield, and Seos tips it over the line. Double kill for Root in the straight 2 versus 2.
Beautiful execution on the bot side. Yampi can't step up here. There's enough healing between the Melio level 6 and the Cozy Campfire to keep Root out and safe. Flashes away from Nia's engage, and once that's happened, the Rel has nothing left. It's basically a 1 versus 2. The fact that he's even able to focus Nia down wins out as well.
Robo might have found the advantage he needs. Slices and dices out of there. ZZK drops ever lower. You wouldn't want to throw away all that advantage that you've built up now, and he jumps back to safety. He's going to take that recall, I imagine.
You can see both top laners actually already used their ultis in a prior skirmish. They've certainly been throwing hands up on that top side. Nobody's gone down just yet. Between the Grandmaster's Might and the Dominus, the burst and sustained damage respectively, certainly worth respecting. Grasp of the Undying for ZZK versus Conqueror for Robo, something I've not really taken into account, but that does definitely sway the laning phase in favour of ZZK. Robo's rune much more geared toward being a late game presence in a team fight, where ZZK is obviously a lot more focused on keeping himself sustained in the lane.
That's right, that's where my memories of Robo come, is those teamfight impacts. He's going to look to have some in this game around that mid-game when it rolls around, as Loud have built themselves up about a 500 gold lead, plus the first straight for themselves. Not a bad early game, all things told. Root winning out on that bot lane play gets them ahead where they need to be. Tinones developing a little CS lead for himself. The Shiv is completed, so that push power is there. As Nia might look to punish him in mid lane, but of course LeBlanc fairly tricky to punish at the best of times.
You can see, proccing the Sigil, the most important part, landing the Root, not exceptionally important for the damage. Tinones hops over, sees what he finds. Nia, unfortunately, not there, and for the time being, INTZ without too much control down on the spot side, but still with all of their lives up and ready if they wish to contest. TP's available for both of our top laners as well, though I imagine the way that this top lane's been going, neither one of them wants to give over the slightest advantage.
Going in, trying to pick off the jungler from Loud. They're burning him through. Nosferus dropping lower as well. Out comes Nature's Wrath, locks up Tinones. A re-engage from Croc once again, aggressive as ever. And INTZ have to give him the space. As in the river, Root's discovered a Kai'Sa and just taking down Ninja Kiwi in the 1v1. Using that gold from before, swings the fight, and Loud control the mid.
Really good that Root's able to find an advantage solo, of all things. Doesn't rely on Seos. That Melio Lucian combo is so scary, but the fact that he's able to do it solo just adds to the insult that is for INTZ's bot lane. 3 kills for Loud is 3 kills for Root. All of their gold in the best performing member of this team. Can't ask for much more as you're heading into a mid-game as Loud.
Absolutely, they still have the gold where it needs to be. Robo, for all the close calls they've had up there, he has stayed alive. Only dropped the one plate. It was going to replay of that fight. We'll see Root catching out Ninja Kiwi.
And it's just as you would like it. good Lucian combos, making sure that he's using the double attacks. Kraken Slayer, importantly, the difference there. And some nice little bit of vision as well, meaning that Ninja Kiwi can't duck into some brushes to keep himself safe. Great stuff from Root. Just a nicely executed 1v1 with an item advantage.
Absolutely. Leveraging the gold where he has it, as now the next dragon has spawned, and Loud, with all this gold on bot side, the pressure in mid lane, that CS lead ballooning in favor of Tinones, now have all the pressure they need to try and get this Drake stacking widened up in their favor. Love to be able to play for this objective later on, to use this lead that they have. Remember, they need to get these leads working for them in early and mid game. The late game just isn't there, and a TP behind from ZZK could stop Loud in their tracks if INTZ can find the pinch.
Return
the
TP
in from
though.
Robo. Just grabs is there onto the jungler. Tino's on the flank. INTZ trying to run on the front line. Picked up the dragon on one side, and now the engage comes through. Rel has gone down, but Robo in the team fight. Here comes the Renekton team fight we wanted, and Loud needed that so badly to keep the game in their favor. ZZK doing his best. He's left in the 1 versus 3. It's a double for Tinones. The mid lane LeBlanc dipping and diving, getting all the work done that needed. They found a kill on Root in that fight, but Robo was there, and the team fight Renekton was ready.
Nosferatu will be able to get out to safety. He was on the wrong side of the rift for a little bit there, but with enough spacing on the Ahri and the W movement speed, gets out. Loud don't manage to find the dragon, but they are going to find a ton of plates onto Tinones here. Might be able to take this one. Won't find the final one with platings falling in the next 5 seconds. And overall, I find that genuinely, Trajan, I think just caught me off guard more than anything. Full 5v5 for the second dragon wasn't particularly where my eyes were looking at. And it's good early poke, honestly, between Ninja Kiwi and Nia. Tino's doing a little bit of scouting work with the distortions, and as soon as both of our top laners sort of TP in, you recognise, okay, this is the full-on skirmish. And it's, I think, credit to Robo for somehow making this fight go their way. Nia hits the godlike engage, it has to be said, but Tinones is just scary enough to actually zone away 3 members of INTZ. Their collapse wasn't as succinct as they would have liked. If CZK and Nosferatu had have gone together, then they would have been able to make the most of that team fight. I'm not sure if Ninja Kiwi just didn't get to ult that fight, if it was on cooldown from being picked off by Root, but the fact that he didn't also dive forward is very damning to the INTZ squad. This is a 5-man dive roster. If they don't all go together, it's very difficult for them to execute on a fight.
Painful for INTZ to see that Rel engage and not find the results from it. They did at least get the Drake, stop the stacking for Loud, and they'll find this Rift Herald as well. They'll lose towers in bot, towers in mid. Exactly, so much gold going over to Loud. I was about to call for the 3k gold lead, but it just moved closer to 4 after that.
Tino's doesn't get this bot tier 2 in its entirety, but with the static shiv and the ease of which you can poke away at turrets with the LeBlanc, can't be too long before that one ends up falling down. Now I get to see what they do with this Rift Herald INTZ, because they put a lot of stock into that, a lot of effort put into making sure that they picked up the objective, where Loud were more than happy to try and trade gold on the other side of the map. INTZ, I hope that they try and force a fight, honestly. Make that something more than just a charge happen with that Herald, otherwise it simply would not be a worthwhile trade. I also want to call out quite how far behind we see, well, I was going to say both of our junglers, but Yampi in particular, because Croc's just finished up that Abyssal Mask. Yampi sat on those components, the Life Wall Pendant in his inventory, saying he's going to head toward maybe an Even Shroud, be that more focused on helping your team DPS of Maokai, but he's not got that first item yet, and he's really slacking behind in terms of those defensive stats as well.
Yeah, and we're just not going to be seeing any damage really out of Nosferatu, right? Doesn't even have the Everfrost done with the Merc Treads in the build. He's recalling now, will hopefully finish that Mythic. But Tinones, he's already got the stative. He's working towards that Night Harvester. And he was scary enough in that last fight to zone away so many members of INTZ. It's only going to get worse in that mid game. The LeBlanc, when it is used right, is just impossible to catch. Always poking, keeping your health low, as Nia has to crash down, try and get away from the culling. Root flashes in, wants to make this work, but won't find the kill. Kiwi threatens him. There's no kill for Loud just yet, but Root always pressuring on the Lucian this game.
Yeah, I think that's an overestimation there from Root. That one flash auto never hits. Maybe thought they had a little bit more in the tank. The movement speed coming through. Now TP's top.
Robo trying to hold ZZK down. Tinones is TPing in, and two more members of Loud over the wall. Oh, it's a disaster for INTZ. Gets away from the stun, finds the lockup for Croc under tower, but Robo dives in to finish the job. Killing spree for Tinones. Once again, a lot of investment up there, but they're going to find the tower for this too.
Really important thing about Melio as well is that he makes turret dives so easy. If you land any CC onto the person tanking, they get instantly ulted. There's a cozy campfire, there are a couple of shields there as well. And it looks like this Herald on the bot side, it's not going to warrant a turret. Robo's just going to be able to catch a wave as well.
Loud avoiding any gold being passed back to INTZ. They keep the lead growing in their favor, while simultaneously stifling INTZ's attempts to counter. This is the hallmarks of a good team, a team waking from its long slumber over the offseason and trying to step back to the top of the standings where they feel they belong, where Seos predicted they would be, at least in terms of play level. INTZ really just trying to prove that they can hang out with the big boys, that they are ready to be considered a part of the top echelon of our team, not just a team that can stop the good teams getting anything done.
Let's go back to the point we tried to raise earlier. INTZ have always been a benchmark team, a yardstick team. You have to be this good to enter this area of the CBLOL standings. Well, unfortunately for INTZ, it looks like they're going to be gatekeepers of the upper bracket in 4th, as opposed to gatekeepers of the top 2, the top 1, the top ends of the league. 3 losses are looking to be on the cards for them, and they've come to the 3 best teams that the region decidedly has in Pain Gaming, Loud, Red Canids. INTZ did a great job this split at the improvement, but unfortunately it's not looking like they're going to go too much further than just that 4th place, which again is a metric that they'll be very, very happy with. And Loud, to add context to their season, 5-3 scoreline, it's going to look exactly the same as INTZ's at the end of this day. But they started off the season 0-3. They're on a 5-game win streak at the minute if they take this game home.
Yeah, the graph's certainly heading in disparate directions. INTZ, they've got Fluxu next week as well, next round. And that will, I think, be a very important match, as Fluxu are also kind of hovering on the edge of that top echelon, and have shown us some very exciting things. INTZ shown us a bit more of the synergy of the team play, less of the flashiness, a little bit more of the good macro, the good cool heads in tense situations. They look to maybe try and punish Tinones, but the safety on the LeBlanc was giving the freedom to stand in the faces of INTZ. I know there's nothing they can do to stop him, but again, a TP fight comes in for ZZK. INTZ are tired of this disrespect, and they force the engage again. It's Root that goes down first. The Fed Lucian knocked off back to the grey screen. Now INTZ, can we find more? Can we get additionals? ZZK looks for Croc and leaves him on a sliver. Still leaping forward as Robo into the backline, runs interference, but he doesn't find the 1v4. Ninja Kiwi fed the Croc for dinner.
2 members dead, the Fed Lucian, the Fed Renekton, Baron on the board. Nia low on HP, Yampi also not the highest health on the board.
The static, the threat over the AoE damage. Nia dropping ever lower into the back of the pit, takes additional Baron damage. There's still a jungler. They find the kill, but Yampi's got the Baron. Ninja Kiwi's dead already though. Ninja Kiwi, can he find it? Tinones goes down to ZZK. Yampi and Nosferus flashing back in to secure the team fight win. Loud gave them a heck of a run for their money, but this play is going for INTZ.
It's a scary fight. Both teams are going to be happy with the situation that they get dealt with. Loud very happy to come away with only 2 members having Baron. INTZ happy to come away with having a Baron at all after how scary that looked in the pit. All started with Tinones being a little bit cheeky in the face of Yampi, but he's more than recognized who the scary part of Loud's composition is. Root immediately piled on, and you get to see that as soon as 4 members of INTZ pick a target, if they all dive onto him, that target is going to go down. Great re-engage from ZZK there, flashes in and catches 2, which gives INTZ's Ninja Kiwi a route into the fight. And the fact that Croc survives there, he was on, I would say, single-digit HP, but the fact that he survives here makes this a 3v5 as opposed to a 2v5, means that this is a lot scarier for the INTZ squad, and Tinones just doing immeasurable work with the double distortions, the static shift, the Night Harvester, all coming in clutch, and with everybody clumped up in that Baron pit, it's exactly the situation that you want as a LeBlanc.
And remember, everybody, the story that we have been telling about INTZ, about Yampi, about Nia underperforming in week 1. The support staff were not showing up while the lanes, the carries were doing the work. In fights like that, it is Yampi flashing onto Root, the instant follow-up from Nia, working in tandem to set them up for success. These pieces that we were unhappy with, that we didn't see enough of initially, are so strong now, and they are setting their team up for success as they're using the Baron to push up into this bot lane. They've caught out Croc, and the tower will fall as well. Root drops the culling, lowers some HP bars, but doesn't find the kill, and INTZ have seen enough as they'll retreat back up the lane.
Yeah, look at the bottom left of your screen here. Robo, he's actually taking an inhibitor turret down on that bot side. Baron buffed recalls are going to be enough for Nosferus to get back to base, for Robo to back away. However much of this bot side jungle he can claim is going to be very important. Try and deny as much gold as possible. With 40 seconds left on the Infernal Dragon, this would be evening it up for INTZ versus putting Soul Point for Loud. With gold dead even as we broach the 23-minute marker, a very real possibility that these fights continue. Tinones, 3 items just hit. The Lich Bane picked up and he TP's in to set himself up and be in a very good position. As 1 stack of sweeping lens, if Nosferus steps a bit too close, he will go down.
Tino sprinted into that rush off the TP, dive straight over the wall. It's going to find Nosferus. There doesn't
missed the
find the distortion though. Nosferus only down to half. That's very doable, very workable. As Tinones with no TP now, Nosferus has it left if he wants to pull the recall. He's going to use the last of that Baron recall. And has a quick TP back in. And the 5v5 is set.
Would have liked him to keep his TP, play for these plant, the fruit that ZZK had on that bot side. Nevertheless, we'd be more than happy. Full HP. Ulti still available for everybody on INTZ. Drake started up and Robo takes a big chunk from Nosferus as well.
Keep your eyes on Yampi and Nia. They've been hunting down Root in these fights, but he's got his flash ready. Milio's there to support him. Nature's Wrath on the engage. Tino's in the flank, poking onto Ninja Kiwi. A TP back in from ZZK after he was knocked out by the Poppy ult. TP's right back into the play as the Dragon resets.
Ninja Kiwi's got 20% HP here. INTZ, they have to seed this. Tinones has done his job. He dove into the backline, he found the AD carry, and whilst Ninja Kiwi didn't die, he's no longer a part of this fight. He's effectively dead. Without sustain, without lifesteal, can't get into this fight, and Loud pick up a Dragon exclusively off of Tinones' LeBlanc.
An incredibly tense straight fight, but Loud come away the victors. They have a small gold lead for themselves, and critically an Infernal Soul Point to play with. The next Dragon could be make or break for either team when it rolls around in just under 5 minutes. So INTZ, we don't have another objective to play for a little while. Have we just moved into this stage where we're just waiting for the next big river animal to appear so that we can run at it?
We're waiting for one big fight now. The thing in Brazil is that you can never be certain that it's going to come around a neutral objective. If somebody overextends, teams are going to fight. I want to take a moment to credit Tinones. Has been painted as this amazing support player for Loud throughout his tenure on the team. But occasionally he's able to remind everybody that he does have these champions in his back pocket. The LeBlanc this game, another Zoe was a pocket pick of Tinones that I always get excited for. He's a very exceptionally talented assassin.
I'm getting excited for this bot lane fight. Rudy, DZK and Robo going at it in the 1 versus 1, but the Jack scaling up just a little bit harder. Flash away from Robo. No, Sales is there with the heal. It's a warm hug for the Loud top laner, and it's the icy grip of death for the INTZ counterpart. Tinones again, here to clean up the mess.
Never has a campfire been so cozy as the one that Robo just received. Seos the right place, the right time, summoning heal. And ZZK, he got cheated in that 1v1. He was going to win it. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. League of Legends is a team game.
A most dishonorable 1v1 from Robo there. Propped up by the team. But who are we to say that's not good? As you say, it's a team game, and Loud are starting to look more and more like a team every day. So they will continue that lead growing once again, and ZZK loses out. Tinones still on the push. INTZ just keeping their farm heavy.
The important part about that fight actually is not the timing of all of it. There's no objectives really to take as we see the culling come down. It's that ZZK respawns, but he uses his stopwatch there. He's not going to have that for this big fight that we expect to ensue around the Baron. Sonya's on a Jax, obviously a very decent item for diving in and creating space on that backline, but he's not getting gold. He's not getting the access to finish off that item. With no stopwatch, it makes it very difficult.
Oh, Yampi going deep for the LeBlanc. just gets himself into the backline, drops initial rod. That's the massive Neo engage again. Sees a kill on the flank. Can he find the angle? Remember, no stopwatch. He's in amongst all 4 members, but Robo drops ever lower. Neo's gone down. CCK falls. A perfect stopwatch for Robo. The difference in the inventories comes up massive for Loud. Double for Root as they're chasing down the mid lane. Yampi trying to punish Croc for going too deep again. Ninja Kiwi still barely holding on to life. But Robo, the target of the engage, we thought he was getting picked, but he finds the final kill himself.
There could not be a better example of why these stopwatches are so important in these team fights. Robo should have gone down, and ZZK could have put a lot more time in that team fight. But Loud, they're just playing these team fights better. The gold, it's largely even. It is coming down to these execution. And I think that Ninja Kiwi did such a good job in this fight. He's spacing the entire time perfectly. Goes forward with his Maokai to engage onto Tinones. Force the flash from the LeBlanc very early on. Maokai gets sent on a journey here, but the power of Kaiser is that you can follow up on it. Tinones at 60% HP this entire fight. It's exactly the start that you like. Again, Robo in the middle of everybody, just soaking up so much damage, and Zonyazing at literally 10 HP, single digits on that health bar as well, but between Triumph, Dominus, and a nice little help from Seos, he's able to stay alive. And it's a small thing to be able to credit Enchanter players, but Seos again making the exact right calls and being with the members of the team that need it in the team fights. Making that case, best support in the league is just so easy to give him.
So many times today, Rude, we see our top teams just pull ahead in the minutia of individual team fights, the tiniest margins that they can eke out to get these wins on the board in a roster, a team composition that we thought we should expect them to be 1-3-1ing right now, but they're 5v5ing and they're just about pulling these wins out of the bag as INTZ are calling for a do-over. They're starting up the Baron, asking for Loud to question them once again.
Sonya's finished for ZZK. He has that stasis and Root could be caught.
Root turns onto him, another massive Croc ultimate drops Yampi out of there. Nia engaging on the other side, but Robo holding the line. He's found the kill on Terrell, but ZZK still alive. Can they find the Root? Can they find the Lucian? Ninja Kiwi gets one. Croc sails almost out of it. Nosfer's chasing down for another. INTZ, have they found the kills they need? Or will Tinones deny them once again? Nosfer's chasing out onto Croc. So many times Poppy has escaped on a sliver, and he will do so once again. And Tinones holds the line at the very end.
What is going on, Trajan? 3 for 3, INTZ forcing fights every chance they get. They know their composition theoretically should be better at this stage in the game. They've hypothetically outscaled Loud, but Loud's hands are just too good. They're fighting these fights just to the absolute best of their ability. And coming out on top, and even in this fight, it's dead even, but INTZ are the ones that are finding these objectives. This is a rare instance where the broader macro of the game is actually going INTZ's way. They're the ones that are able to have side lanes going in their favor, and the top tier 3 falls, opening open the base without a Baron.
I hope you're ready for another one, Rudy, because the Drake Soul is live. We teed that up 5 minutes ago, and Tinones is there keeping a watchful eye over INTZ as they have the inside track. Root is in top lane, so this is not going to be the fight. I am going to get a little bit of a rest, thank goodness, as INTZ will stop that Soul going over once again, but the Baron's still live at the end of all of that, and Loud look like they're heading for it.
Whilst we've got a little bit of time, important check on your stopwatches. This Baron, I think it just goes over, unfortunately, and INTZ committed way too heavily for that Ninja Kiwi.
In a bit of danger there. Tinones again always threatening down. Goes to Baron lower and lower. No one's going to contest it. Yeah. INTZ with a very rough trade here, and ZZK still deep into the river. Trying to jump back to Nostros, but he eats so much damage for the privilege. Nature's Grasp looks for the disengage. Croc chasing for more. Tinones always hounding on the flank, but the static shift procs. INTZ desperately trying to scramble back to the side of the map, but Yampi is denied, and INTZ are left in a 4 versus 5.
And with the Baron at their backs, Loud, they may well look to open this base in more ways than just one. They've got a wave pushing in on that top side as well. They can default to that and they'll be able to take over maybe a second inhibitor as well. That timer for Yampi 35 seconds, and if Loud are looking to end this game, they're going to have a difficult task. Ninja Kiwi, more than ready with damage.
Feeling confident, Robo takes a fat chunk with the front line, loses the Dominus. The Poppyel only drops him back to the fountain. There's only so far you can knock him back when they're sitting at their Nexus gates. Ninja Kiwi takes a chunk again, but pushes them back. Loud, desperately trying to get a wave in. They'll find one Nexus tower. 10 seconds on the Maokai. Commits in for the engage. INTZ have to hold them at this last line versus the champions as Robo goes into resurrection. But the kills are coming in, and Tinones finds Ninja Kiwi. It's always been Tinones, and Loud stretch their streak to 6 wins.
A single inch Loud take a mile. Yampi caught overextending to save his top laner.